So, welcome to another episode of the Game of Throws podcast. This week we'll be looking back on the results of Game Week 17 and doing some predictions of Game Week 18. I'm John Udusson of Gunz SnowFC. I've got two guests with me today. Mihir, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, it's Mihir from GW17. Demolished Nicholas this week.
And Sham is also with us. Quick intro from Sham.
Yeah, it's Sham Mahmood at EFR, the table leaders right now. So top of the table, you talk with a manager that's built himself and carried himself all the way to the top.
Okay, so let's get into this. So, highly anticipated week, 5 great games to talk through. The first game that we're going to crack on with was Egg Fried Rios versus Ed's Flying Pigs. Sham took it in a very low scoring game, unlike Sham, but quite like Ed. Sham achieved 26 points somehow, beating Ed, only scoring 18 points. Sham, do you want to talk us through your team, what you did, and why your performance was the way it was?
Really, it was a dreadful week. It was one of my lowest scoring game weeks that I've had in this league. So I guess I should ask you how I should feel, right? Because you're used to these lowest game week scores in the game week. So, but no, jokes aside, I had to pay back some favours. The last 4 or 5 game weeks have been very tough for the EFR team, which I had to get in some loans to help me get those wins, and in order to ask for further loans in the future, I had to repay some of those favours. Most of those favours in this game week went to Mihir at GW18. So I supplied him with Eden Hazard and Raul Jimenez, 2 key players from EFR. Joined up Carol, and they played as I expected, and they really helped him to get the win. So it was strategic play, really. I knew I didn't need too many points to beat Ed. I didn't think he was going to exceed 30 points. I was actually aiming for mid-30s. I didn't get that. I got mid-25s, mid-20s, which, funny enough, was still enough to beat Ed. So, yeah, surprising one. But, yeah, I got the win. Mihir got the win, which then meant Nick got the loss. And I've now climbed up by 1 space, and I'm now sitting at top of the table. So I feel happy. I've been working very hard to achieve this milestone, and yeah, I've managed to do it. And I don't know how the rest of how it will work for the rest of the league and for the rest of the season, but I managed to get my mark and get to the top of the table, and I know everyone will be ganging up against me to be a new leader at the top. So, but yeah, at the moment feel good. In terms of my team, there's not really much to say. My highest scoring player was Fabianski with 9 points in the goal. That shows how bad the team was. Recently, I've been struggling with farming players. It was quite easy before, but I feel like everyone has upped their game. And they're picking in some really good players, like Dan was obviously he's always got the knack for getting very good farm players, and Dinesh has improved in terms of how he farms as well. So it really puts a struggle on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like you pointed out, none of your outfield players scored above 2 points, but Fabianski got 9 points in goal, and it just goes to show that's what championship winning teams do. They grind out wins even when they're playing bad. Where did Ed go wrong, Mihir?
Well, if you look at Ed's team, he had 3 of his defenders out. Vertonghen injured, Mustafi suspended, and Gomez injured. But it's not really players that you want to farm or lose, because when they come back, obviously they're really good players to have. I think where it went wrong was that he got rid of his best player, Bernardo Silva. For Torreira, I mean, that's not really a great trade to make, like an attacking player who gets points week in, week out. For Torreira, who's had 1 or 2 good game weeks, but at the end of the day, he's a defensive mid, so he's not going to get you many points over the course of the season. I think that's where it went wrong for Ed.
Well, so a great win for Sham. It sees him go top of the table. First team in the league to crack 800 points. Don't know what more to say on that. He's beaten a team in...
Yeah, I'm blessed. I mean, it's my team. My team has been very good. I farmed really. I transferred and got my permanent deals in really quickly, and I'm riding off the back of that wave. Really, it's hard to do trades now. So, coming into the middle of the season, everyone wants a star player for mediocre players now. So, trading has become quite stagnant. So I think it will just be loaned for the majority of the time throughout the season. There is going to be a slight flux with, the news today with Jose. So, United players are going to be of interest, especially if rumours are to be true and Zidane comes in and fills that role. Then, people like Pogba, Lukaku, even Mata, Herrera, are gonna start climbing up the point table. So, it's going to be an interesting one, but it's very hard. But to Mahir's point, I agree that they're players that you don't want to get rid of, but and you've got players out for 2 to 3 months. Gomez has got a metatarsal injury, I think it was, and he's out for 2 months, 3 months. And if you're out for 3 months, you need to get rid of them and farm out another player. All of Newcastle's back line is available, and if not Newcastle, Brighton, or Huddersfield as well. So, there were options for him on the farm for him to come out with that win. But it depends. It's how you take stock of like what you feel about your team, really.
Yeah, so let's move on from one great game to another. So James Blythe versus Dan Dixon. It looked to be a game which I believe that Dan was going to take that one, move himself up the league. But James, who was lower in the league, came back with a very decisive win. Ings, as he did earlier on in the season, came back and won the game for James, picking up 13 points. Quite disappointing for Dan, where he's kind of been falling down the league in terms of positions. He's now sitting in 6th place, almost at that mark where, things start to look bad when you're in the lower half of the league. Where did it go wrong for him here? Or where did it go right for James?
Well, I don't think it really went wrong for Dan. He had a good week. He got 40-odd points. And I think even last week he got 40-odd points, but he got beaten on the last game. I think this weekend he got beaten on the last game, and it was all from unlikely sources. I mean, Danny Ings getting 2 for James, Lingard scoring. So yeah, I mean, he was a bit unlucky, to be fair. And I think Dan, he went heavy on the Man City side of players this week, but looking at their games, I think they've got a couple of easy home games, and going forward, I don't think that's that much of a bad option, but I think this week he was just a bit unlucky. I mean, most other managers in the league he would have won this week.
So how sustainable is Jesus and Rondon as his strike force while Aguero's taking time out? 20 points this week was really good, but can that continue? It's a great pickup from Greg by picking up Alderweireld, scored him 9 points from the defence, but going forwards, does he have much of a chance of improving his squad or rotating, or does he have to look at bringing new players in?
I think Mahir was spot on in this analysis. This head-to-head wasn't the fact that Dan did poorly. It was just the fact that James had a freak game week. He had this against me when I played him 5 game weeks ago. He has these fortunate episodes in one game week where Ings gets a brace against Arsenal, which is uncommon. He's shocked with that. And with Dan's side, Dan's getting some benefits as well, like these short some luck with Jesus. Jesus banging in 13 points and getting 2 goals and doing fantastically well. And you can see the reason why Man City have kept so much faith in Jesus and not getting in a third striker. And possibly this might be a good run for Jesus over the Christmas period, because he's had such a long break from the start of the season, and he can play these games while Aguero is coming back to full capacity in his condition. And then Rondon's playing amazingly well. I mean, game week 12, he got 12 points, but then and then 2 spells of not doing anything, and but then in the last 3, he's got 21 points. So he's good. He's good up front. It's I agree again with Mahir. His Man City defenders. So the only one he brought in was Delph. So he's got Otamendi and Laporte there in the back. Otamendi is going to play a few more games due to squad rotation in the midweeks, and with Mendy being out, it's a good fit for him to sit in that slot. And Jota is now playing up front alongside Raul Jimenez, so he's going to get an assist or a goal. So his points tally is going to climb. So he's got a very good squad. It's just he was just so unfortunate with James. Really, it's just one of those things. No matter how good you are, you can't stop these freak game weeks to happen. Really, no matter how good you are.
Well, I'm happy for James. He seems to be a lot happier after that win. 51 points. Not too sure the very last time James had scored anything at all like that, but that's good for him. Shall we move on to the next game? So, highly anticipated game. Predictions were quite mixed in the last podcast when we looked at this game. This was the match between Nicholas and Mahir. Mahir, now that you're on a podcast, could you just explain why this was such a passionate game and what was the cause for the hatred between you two, and your comments to say that Nicholas is a former friend?
Well, yeah, this was a big game. I mean, as you mentioned in the last podcast, it was quite a hyped up game. This wasn't for the cameras, it wasn't for the media, it was actually a genuine rivalry that kicked in the last few weeks. Obviously, to beat Nicholas, I knew I had to get in loans. To beat him with my current team was going to be difficult. Although I think if I did keep my current team, it would have been a close game, or he might have just edged it. But yeah, really delighted to get the win after 2 disappointing weeks. I mentioned a few weeks ago that his combinations were going to run out. They're going to have some tough games. There's going to be rotations, and this week showed. I mean, none of his players really turned up. 30 points, pretty low score for Nicholas. So delighted to get the win. All the loans did well. Hazard, Snodgrass, Mane, Jimenez, 40 odd points between them. So yeah, can't really complain. It was a great game week, and by a good margin as well, so I'm delighted.
How did you calculate your Frankenstein team? How did you come back with analysis of who you wanted? Because at times you were asking me for, Liverpool defenders, and then it was a last minute change where, you went for Raul Jimenez instead of, a Liverpool backline, and, and same with Snodgrass and, Mane as well. Like, how did you know, or, what was your analysis to, finding those players instead of others?
Well, I think my game plan this week was to cancel out the players that Nick had and then bring in a couple of more star players that would ideally get the win. So obviously he had Son, I had Mora, he had Walker, so I brought in John Stones. I know Stones was injured. He obviously had Anderson and Chicharito, so I brought in Snodgrass. And then he had Callum Wilson playing against Wolves, so I brought in Jimenez, so they're kind of all playing against each other. So cancelled out his players in that sense, and then obviously brought in Hazard, Mane, to get that extra win. So yeah, that's how it was done.
Amazing. It was a great tactical win by you. I think it was just one beforehand with how you analysed Nick's team and diffused some of the big hitters like you mentioned earlier. And it was just it was fantastic to watch, really. I gave up watching my head-to-head and just carried on. I started watching yours and George Neville's.
And then obviously brought in Davies as well, someone who Nick had to give away a couple of weeks ago. Davies getting 8 points, so that was good. The good thing about this was that pretty much all of Nick's team played on the Saturday, so he and I only had 4 or 5 players that played on the Saturday, and we were already joint. So on the Sunday, I still had Hazard, Firmino, Alonso, Mane to all play, and I'd already kind of won the game, so that was pretty good feeling.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty spot on with your tactics and the way that you looked at it approaching the game. But prior to the game, in our last podcast, the votes went in terms of predictions that the majority believed that Nick was going to win that game. How did you feel going into the game? Were you confident that you was going to win it? And did you know ahead of time that you were going to get these loans in?
Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry, were you confident in your team that you was going to be able to win the game as the predictions were against you? The guests that we had on last podcast were in favour of Nicholas.
I was always nervous going into the game because Nick's track record shows he's always getting big scores, so even if I did bring in a Frankenstein team, it could have still been a tough game. And obviously the last 2 weeks I lost in quite unfortunate circumstances, so there was always that bit of nervousness, but now I'm happy to get the win, and yeah, I'm not surprised you guys picked Nick because of his track record, so yeah.
Just one other question. Nicholas has come out in a media comment saying that you approached him before the game requesting a no loan agreement for the match, and then you went back on that and then brought in loans. Is that true, and why did you do that?
That's not true. Nicholas approached me and said we should have no loans for this game. Obviously that's a deal that suits Nicholas, so I wasn't happy to agree to that. Originally I did agree to it, and then Nicholas came back and said that actually we're not allowed loans but we're allowed permanent deals, and he said that I'm not going to stop a permanent deal getting in the way of just our agreement of no trades. So I said, if you want permanent deals to happen, then loan deals have to happen too. And obviously in the back of my mind, I was never going to agree to this because loans was one of the only ways that I could win this. So there was no surprise that Nicholas wanted that agreement because it was obviously going to favour him, and he knew that he was top of the league. So none of the top managers were going to loan him players. They wanted him to lose. So that's why Sham, Benesh were loaning me players rather than Nicholas. So I mean, he can say what he likes, but that's 2 wins out of 2 against him, so he can't seem to beat me.
Fighting words, I love it. But yeah, no, we're going to get into these issues with these no loan agreement, and I think it started off with Binesh and Dan, Binesh, Dan, and I. Anytime we play each other, we always come up with some sort of challenge, extra challenge, or forfeit for the loser. And then part of it came down to finish pushing out a no loan agreement in terms of the game. And then this is now coming up, but it's head to head. It's player versus player, person versus person, and if you can't get that agreed in writing, you need to suffer from it. So if it was written, then that is something that Mihir has to get punished for. But I mean, if it was just as how Mihir agreed or Mihir said it is, then no, that's it's not going against any rules.
Well, Mihir, congratulations on the win, up to 4th place.
Yeah, congratulations, Mihir. Awesome win. Thanks.
Okay, so the next game was Binesh, who's been riding high on the back of 4 wins against Abu. Unluckily for Binesh, Abu came back to full strength, scoring 53 points. Took the game, and Binesh could only achieve 38 points. A tough one for Binesh, going up against Abu, who's always going to be thought of as a very strong contender for this league. But I don't think that Binesh was firing on all cylinders as he has been in the last few weeks. 38 points is still a good score to achieve on any game week, but it just wasn't enough to beat Abu today. How do we want to break this game down? Who's best to talk about how Abu took this one?
I think Abu, he's now picked up some form lately. I mean, he had a bit of a drop in mid-season, but now he's picking up some big scores. Players are starting to fire. He did well this week. I mean, Mkhitaryan got him 12 points or something. I mean, Binesh can feel a bit hard done by Ericsson scoring in the last minute with a Kane assist. But even Binesh, I mean, he's been doing well last few weeks. So it was a tough matchup to call because both managers have good sides. But yeah, Abu managed to edge this one. It was quite a high scoring game. But yeah, I think Abu, he's giving Sham a good run for his money at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really is. I'm so nervous. Like, as much as I would love to, take back and or sit back and enjoy this top spot. I mean, I'm on the same number of wins as Abu. I'm only leading down to the goal differences, the points differences that we have, mainly due to Abu's poor form before, and getting only like small points for 3 or 4 game weeks, and that's helped me now. But yeah, looking at the two, I mean, he got very lucky at Mkhitaryan, and can you say that Mkhitaryan is going to go on, rise on form and carry on playing the way he's been playing? I don't think so. I think he's a 1 in 10 player. If you look in his previous points, he's So I don't see him hitting those 14 points, but every day or every game week. But I mean, Wolves have got some good games coming up, so it's favourable for him to have Patricio and Dusty. It's understandable why he put Pascal Gross in. Now he's back on full form. He should go back to the form that he had last season. And as mentioned, with hair like Ericsson and Kane, that combo is going to do well for him. And Sane with Mendy out, he kind of controls that left front position, and he is dominating that position. Is now it's his position to own, and he's playing masterfully well right now for City. So I don't see him dropping any points anytime soon. So he's got a very good squad, very good big winners. And with Binesh, Binesh has got a good team. Like I mentioned before, he does very well with his farming. So he brought in Townsend. Townsend got 6 points, and Fernandinho's got another 6 points. And he's done well with his backline as well. It was just unfortunate that Chelsea conceded that goal in the 66th minute, dropping really good in Kepa with their clean sheet bonuses that they were going to get, and only ended up getting 3 instead of the 15 that was at midpoint of the game. That's what we thought he was going to get. And Arsenal had a terrible game, so Arsenal having a terrible game, Vinicius team is based around the Aubameyang, and if he just comes back with 2, he suffers. So, it's not really, there's nothing Finish could do. He's still got a very good team. He was just unfortunate with the fixtures. And, Abu, on the other hand, did amazingly well. Got really lucky with Mkhitaryan just picking him up off the farm. But I don't see it happening again.
Agree with all of those points there. I don't think that Aubameyang has really performed well for Binish since he signed him. Aubameyang pretty much could have had a hat-trick or even more at the weekend, but maybe he just doesn't like playing for Binish. So if Binish ever wants to hand him back, I'm ready to take him back at any point in time. Great stuff from Mkhitaryan, achieving 14 points. And like you said...
I'm close to...
Like you said...
Rumour is it that Aubameyang, close to the EFR buildings, and a deal may happen soon.
Okay, fair enough. What would it take for Aubameyang to move across? Who would leave your team?
To move across to John SnowFC.
Oh no.
Team.
No, I'm talking about for you to get Aubameyang into EFR.
Some bribes, some outside incentives, and potentially a star man that has done well for EFR. But I think it's time to part ways.
Interesting. I'll keep an eye out for that one. And the final game of the week was John SnowFC versus Giant Spain, which was a pretty low-scoring game. 2 teams in the bottom half of the league, and the scoreline reflected that. I luckily took that one by 3 points. And as I said in the comments, I didn't really... So I beat Greg a few times before, and that was when my team was a lot stronger. This time around, we're not the best team in the league anymore. So we did have a few worries going into it, but we were confident of getting the 3 points. We did get it, and I wouldn't like. There's not many people that played well in my team. Not too many thanks to give out, but we took it from an average performance against what was another average team in the league. So congratulations to the team, but nothing to shout about here.
You had a late scare when Shaqiri came on for Greg, and it got a bit close at the end.
Agreed. 2 goals from a sub. If he had got the third.
How did it feel when that happened?
Well, personally, I didn't go into the game believing I would win it. I even predicted that last week. I went with Greg when everybody else was in favour of myself. But I just don't really have much faith in my team at the moment. So proud to get the 3 points, and unlucky to Greg. Maybe next time around he might be able to do a little bit different or do something different. I've noticed that he's kind of slipping into that, not doing any trades with anybody, but when he does, he's doing a Simmons deal. So maybe he needs to get out there and work on his team a little bit. But likewise, so do I. So not really putting anything bad on Greg. Just the best team won on the day.
Yeah, it was definitely close. You look at Greg's team. I agree with you, John. He's got too many zeros in his team, and he needs to start sacrificing some of his players that he's trying to have commit to, have faith in, to do well. But I don't think that will change anytime. Well, Coleman, he should get rid of Coleman and put someone else in. He got unlucky with Vinagre as well, and Vinagre being benched. That was unfortunate, but Smalling, he could have changed Smalling out for a Bournemouth player or a Huddersfield player to make a replacement there. Morata, you can never bench Morata because he played for Chelsea and the balls would always get delivered to him. Granted, he misses open goals, 6 yards out, but there's going to be the odd game week where he'll bang in 2 goals quite easily. And same with Lucas as well. Lucas is a big bet item. It's worth keeping him in, but as you saw from recent games, Pellegrini used him for the midweek, but for the weekend he preferred the idea of using Philip Anderson Rito at the start and wearing down the defence and then putting in Andy Carroll in the 55th minute or 60th minute and to play some long balls in. So it's hard for Greg to have that faith in Lucas, I guess, really. And he got unlucky with the other players. Maro's only getting 2. He's hit on this, and Pereira as well, and Walcott only getting 1 point. So it's frustrating. But like I said, it's not just Greg. If you look at your team, John, some of these players should have done so much better as well. So 37 points doesn't reflect to how the team is and the formation of the team, the form of the team. It's just just got unlucky with a few defence not coming back with a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's a tough one, having that fine line, that balance between sticking it out with your players and going to the farm. Because just looking at Greg's team now, he had 3 outfield players picking up 0 points and 3 outfield players on the bench, all on 0 points. If he had gone to the farm, I'm sure he could have got players that could have gotten points. But then again, if he sticks with his team, or it's that kind of that balance and that pressure of, do I let go of a Milner who could be picked up by somebody else? It's a tough one. What to do, who to get in, and who can perform for you. Who would have known that Shaqiri would have come off the bench and picked up 14 points as a sub? But yeah, that's how it goes, I guess. Okay, so on to the predictions for game week 18. We've got the first game next week, which is going to be between Hong Kong FC and Egg Fried Reus. How do you see that one going, Chan?
Hopefully a win. A win would be nice. But I don't know. I played him last time, and he came back with one of his original Hail Mary wins. He needed 22 points from 2 players in the last game, and he managed to get 25 points on the last kick of the last game. So it's shocking, and worse for wear. There's the game this weekend. In the game this weekend, the last game week is Everton and Spurs, so he's going to rely on Pickford and Keane to do him justice again. So I am worried, mainly from those 2 players, because I'll be honest, I thought I won that game. I celebrated way too early on that one, and I was devastated because he did the impossible. So it's 1 win each between us, and this is now the 3rd time we play. I need to win this one, so I've got a full strength team with the inclusion of a potential superstar on top as well. So I want to win this game. So we'll see how this goes.
Mihir?
Yeah, I think Sam will take it. He's got his main players back now, and I can't see James's players putting up that performance that they did last game week. So I think Sam for the win.
I would like to go with Sham, but just to be different, I'm going to probably go with James, see if it pays off. I think Sham's winning streak needs to come to an end at some point. It was a bit shaky at the weekend, so I'm hoping that Sham does beat him because James is hot on my tail. But I think that James might do something and shock us all in this one. So I'm going to go with James in this Game Week 18 match.
That's fair.
Okay, on to the next game, which is Nicholas versus Ed. I'll kick off and I'll go with Nicholas on this one. Reason being is because Nick's had he's had a tough time losing to Mihir in what was a highly anticipated game. He's getting his players back this week, which went out on loan. He's got the Tottenham and City back line, which should prove him well. Spurs are playing Everton, and City are playing Crystal Palace, which should pretty much guarantee points for Nicholas. I'm going to go with Nicholas on this game. Not to mention Ed's team is very, very weak, and another manager who maybe needs to take the pride out of some of his non-performing players and do some trades, or possibly not even trades because the players don't trade well. Maybe go to the farm to improve his team. So I'm going to go with Nick on this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this Nicholas will definitely bounce back with a win here. I agree. I just don't see Ed team doing anything really. I can be surprised, but looking at the two teams, Nicholas is on another level at the moment. West Ham are playing Watford at home. Felipe and Anderson and Chicharito are going to be on form. Bournemouth are playing Brighton at home. So Wilson and Fraser are going to be on point. I think Wilson is back from his injuries now. So, he'll play, I don't think he'll play 90 minutes, but he'll play at least 45 minutes. So that's enough to get a goal or get an assist. And then, Spurs and Everton, that's going to be a tough one. I don't think he'll be able to keep a clean sheet on trips. But Fun will do well. I just think Nicholas has just got the better players here because it's two different leagues between, you see Nicholas' team and Ed's team, and you're right, John, it's all down to, poor management of, trade, agreeing to the wrong trades and rejecting the right trades. It's, he really needs to sit back and, do some research and analyse, fixtures and pick good players from the farm for just nab 3 points or 6 points. Dinesh, after his losing streak, he rebuilt his whole team, and all he wanted from each of his midfield was 3 points. So he changed up all of his midfield just to make sure that he got 3 points from each. And his defence, he wants to get at least 1 or 2 clean sheets, and strikers, he's just looking at 4 to 6 points. So when you break things down that way and you look at your team differently, then you can pick up wins. It's just I don't see anything wants to keep holding on to his players.
Yeah,
what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the fixtures suit Nicholas. This would have been a game that Bernardo would have probably excelled in with Palace at home, so Ed would have loved to have him, but Ed's got King, so it could cancel out Wilson there, but overall Nick's got the better players, better squad to take the win. Nicholas for the win.
Okay, on to the next game, which is Binesh versus Dan. Both two solid teams, mid-table teams at the moment, performing well, scoring well. But I see this one going in favour of Dan. and that's more to do with Binesh's team that would just, they go against each other. So he's got the midfield and the defence combination of Tottenham and Chelsea players, which will, I believe, I just don't think that it will work well for him. Palace have got a tough fixture this week. I just see Dan taking this one. I don't think that Palace will get any goals, so his midfield and strikers won't be performing. Aubameyang, I don't know whether he's on a downward spiral, but he couldn't fire last week, so I can't see him picking up the points needed to be an informed, high-scoring Dan team at the moment. So I'm going to go with Dan in this game.
Yeah, this one's going to be a tough game. I'm going to show for Dan. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see how this works. I have a WhatsApp group with the two of them, so it's going to be oddly quiet this weekend when they play each other. And they've agreed at the start of the week that this game week is going to be a no loans game week. So it's the team that you saw last week, that is the team that's going to play this week. They are, Dinesh is close to a deal with me. Dan is also close with me with another deal as well. So, they both could be in for a permanent offer from EFR, so someone from EFR or two people from EFR maybe joining each team. But even then, I still don't see this being anything other than very close and down to the wire. I don't know who's picked between the two of them. I'm going to say, based on Dan's heavy Man City players, I'm going to say Dan, just due to the defenders he has, and I feel like that's a prime game for him to play. And Jesus, I think Aguero is coming back on form, so I think he will play as well. And when he comes back from injury, he normally, takes around running, starts firing straight away. So I think it all depends on that City game. If that City game goes into a big scoring game, then it's down to the win. But if not, then it will go down to finish.
Yeah, I agree too. Depends on the Man City game. Aguero coming back, even Jesus picking up a bit of form. But yeah, even Vanessi's got a bad one at home to Burnley, so yeah, it's going to be a close game. It's difficult to call. Neither of them want to lose it, especially Dan wouldn't want the third loss in a row for the round. So yeah, it's tough to call. I think Dan will just edge it based on the City game.
Okay, so that's all in favour of Dan riding high on the rotation of the City team, but we've all gone in favour of Dan. Okay, on to the next game, which is myself versus Mihir. Maybe you want to go first on this, Mihir?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game. Obviously, myself against you. A few weeks ago, this would have been a big game, but I think now we kind of...
I was going to say, is this a big game? It's partner league versus mid-table.
Yeah, I mean, both of us coming on the back of wins. Kind of not an ideal time for both of us to be playing each other just after picking up some momentum. But my biggest worry is that Sterling was rested this week, so he will probably play next week. At home to Palace. He racks up the points at home, so I'm a bit worried about that. Obviously, you're born with players against Brighton. So I think the fixtures kind of suit a team that will be closer than... It'll be another close game. It's tough to call. But yeah, obviously, after you lent me Mane, probably your second best player after Sterling in your squad, or even one of your best players, at a time when you're on a losing streak. You had a massive game against Greg but you had that goodwill to lend Mane, so I have a lot of respect for you as a manager now.
Oh, thank you very much.
You guys want to hug it out? Yeah, this is going to be a tough one between two, calling it where it will go. Here going generally like teams that have had a Frankenstein team and they've brought their original players back. They don't seem to do so well on the bounce. Yeah, I don't know, it's a tough one between John and here, and I think it comes down to the same thing really. It's the Arsenal versus Burnley game. I think that's a very important game for John. Mahir's got a well-rounded squad. He's got, star players in a lot of different areas. So I think I'm going to go for Mahir on this one. I think Mahir could do it. I don't see Leicester going to Chelsea's ground and score away, so he'll get a clean sheet there. Kolasinac, there's news about Kolasinac coming back, so clean sheet there. Alonso, Davies as well will play again. Lucas Moura, and I think I'll have to go with him here on this one.
So the last time we played, I think it was a completely different game. I was in a different place. I think Mahir's team was stronger back then as well. Mahir took it by 2 points. Now that we're in a much different place, just looking at the two teams, I would say Mahir's team is stronger, being in 4th place, me being in 8th place. But when I actually look at the lineup and look at who my players are up against, it kind of gives me a little bit of faith. I feel that Lacazette is due some goals. Having Mane back in my team, he needs to perform for me up against Wolves. Koscielny back up against Burnley. I can only hope for a clean sheet there. Man City haven't had a clean sheet for a very long time, so hopefully Edison can pick up a clean sheet against Crystal Palace, which is doable. I'm going to back myself this week, and I think that we may be able to get the win over Mahir this week. Currently, I haven't made any changes to my team. I'm still pushing, hoping that I can do, but as it is, I feel that my team is strong enough.
Yeah, John. I know you've been messaging me for loan players. Are you close to anyone else other than trying to get my player?
Okay, back to what I was saying. I think that my team is strong enough as it is. If any loans do come in, that'll be a bonus. But right now, I'm quite confident that we'll be able to beat Mahir as is.
Well, John, you mentioned in your media comments that there's a group of managers that have a "I don't trade with John" campaign. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Oh yeah, I believe it's definitely a thing. There's managers out there, there's teams out there that have no players that I would even want, so that kind of rules them out. And then you have a few others, who just look at who I haven't traded with, and you'll be able to pick out a few names there.
But is that down to them not wanting to trade with you, or just you can't trade with any of them? Most of these people, most of the other managers are running on total transactions between 60 and 100. Abby's quite low at 35, and you're sitting at the lowest with 29. So is it really everyone else, or is it just yourself?
Yeah, sometimes when the stats say one thing, it's good to turn around and take a look at yourself and ask yourself the question. But I think that other managers have alliances with other teams. They can quickly do deals. They can do IOUs. They can do deals when there's nothing in it for them, and that's based on the relationships that they've built with each other. And they just don't have that with me, which it feels as though there is a.
Have you offered a player out first and not expected any player to come back in. Just out of kindness, out of your heart, and just offer the player out.
That would be it's a bit of a personal question, but yes, I have done. Okay. It's a bit awkward silence there. So on to the last game of Game Week 18. That's going to be Greg versus Abu. I would say Giants Bane, but well, it's been a while since they've done that. So just on the back of that, I'm going to go with Abu. Abu's team is a lot stronger than Greg's team. Greg's team needs to ditch the pride and get in some players who actually play. And Abu's team is very strong, so I'm going to go with Abu to take that game. Yeah, any thoughts on that? What are your predictions, guys?
Yeah, I think Abu will as well. I know Greg beat him last time. It ended that winning streak that Abu had, but yeah, I can't see it happening again. Abu's team's much stronger and they're doing really well at the moment. So yeah, comfortable win for Abu.
Yeah, I agree. Abu's just ridiculous, and quietly so. It should be joining me at top of the table because of how he's played this season. Yeah, it'll be good to have Abu back up top, and but get another win anyway. I just don't see it going any other way. Greg's team wasn't great before when they played him last time, and this time around it's even worse. So I don't see it happening any other way.
Yeah, I think you have to give him credit for sticking with Sane. I mean, at the start, I don't think Sane played the first few games, and then he's come back in now. He's racking up points every week, so he did well to stick on to him. And I think in terms of the strike forces of three, I think Abu's probably got the best in the league, and he doesn't have the best striker overall in terms of maybe Aguero or Aubameyang, but as a three, Mitrovic, Kane and Lukaku, overall he's probably got the best three out of everyone.
Yeah, I agree. He has got the best strike force, hands down. And the Wolves, he did have Wolves midfielders, but I think that he got rid of them. Maybe he'll go in on the waivers and pick up Nevers again. His backline, the partnership between Patricio and Doherty has got him so many points and got him a lot of wins. So I see that happening again.
Okay, so there you have it. All in favour of Abu. And the end of our predictions for Game Week 19. So there will be another podcast next week. James is up next week. He'll be back in the UK, so it'd be good to hear from James. Also, keep your ears peeled for the announcement of the Top Gunz Cup, which Binesh is to release next week.
Yeah, we're working on the video right now and coming up with formations. There was some fixture issues, but we're close to finalising everything, and Binesh is working hard on the video. So this one's definitely going to be entertaining, and it will be more fair than the Murder Cup. So I'm sure we'll all manage to this cup.
As we look forward to another exciting week where we've got a close race at the top between Sham, Abu and Nicholas. I'd say a bit of a mid-table battle, anywhere from 21 points up to 27, which is Ed through to me here in fourth place. And then there's a trailing relegation battle between myself, James and Greg. So it's all to play for all across the league. Any more points to bring up, guys?
No, it's been an amazing league, and normal leagues would wind down around now, and we're still ramping up. I feel like all the managers are still enjoying themselves. Maybe not Greg being bottom place and now have to deal with 3 forfeits come 2019. But I feel like everyone's enjoying themselves and this league just gets better and better.
Okay, so we'll wrap it there and we will reconvene next week. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, guys, thanks. All right, that's all.
Bye.